The most dangerous month in a creator's journey isn't the one where nothing works. It's the one where you convince yourself that pushing harder will finally make it work. Views aren't where you want them. Growth feels stuck. So you tell yourself to create more, optimize better, try harder, and this is exactly when your body starts sending the 5 signals that you're about to break. I learned this the hard way. Thought I just wasn't working hard enough. Turned out I was working myself into the ground. And if I'd caught these 5 signals earlier, I could have avoided what happened next. Here's what nobody tells you about creator burnout. The warning signs are physical, not emotional. Your analytics show whatever they show. Your body shows damage. And they're measuring completely different things. Your body keeps the burnout score your studio dashboard doesn't show. I've been creating for years. Some months I upload constantly. Some months I can barely finish one video. And the pattern I finally noticed, the months I pushed hardest weren't the ones where things were working. They were the months I was trying to prove I wasn't failing. By the time I realized what was happening, I couldn't write a video description, stared at a blank screen for 40 minutes, nothing came out. That was the crash. But the 5 signals, they started 3 weeks earlier. I just called them not working hard enough. This is the creator's trap, not the one where you're succeeding and can't stop, the one where you're struggling and won't stop. Videos aren't performing the way you hoped. Growth is slower than you expected. You watch other creators blow up and think, I just need to work harder. So you do. You upload more. Stay up later editing. Sacrifice everything else to prove you can make this work, and your body starts screaming, but you can't hear it over the sound of your own desperation. Because here's the thing about burnout. It doesn't just hit when you're winning. It hits hardest when you're trying to prove you're not failing. When every struggling video becomes evidence that you need to push harder. When slow growth becomes permission to ignore every signal that you're breaking. I've lived this pattern. Had a video underperform, told myself I'd upload 3 more that week to make up for it. None of them did better, so I made 5 the next week, then 7. The output increased, the results didn't, but I kept thinking just a little more, just a little harder, and something will click. Meanwhile, my body was keeping a completely different score. The month you think you're not doing enough is often the month you're doing too much, because struggle creates obligation. Every video that underperforms becomes proof you should make more. Every slow growth week becomes evidence you're not working hard enough. The ratchet effect kicks in backwards. You're not accelerating toward success. You're accelerating toward burnout, hoping that if you just push hard enough, you'll break through before you break down. And your body, it's keeping a different score. Not views, not subscribers, cortisol, sleep debt, nervous system budget. You're running a deficit, but the currency is invisible until you're overdrawn. Then it all crashes at once. And recovery, if you catch it early, days. If you catch it late, months. The difference is whether you can read the 5 signals before they become a crisis. Here's the reframe. Your worst views month might also be your worst mental health month, not because the struggle causes burnout directly, but because you respond to struggle by pushing harder, and that's what breaks you. When metrics are down, you tell yourself the pain is just what it takes. The exhaustion is the price of growth. The mental fog is from not being good enough yet. But there's a difference between productive work and destructive work. And most struggling creators can't tell which one they're doing anymore. Let me show you the difference. Productive work means you create, learn from the result, adjust, rest, repeat. Destructive work means you create, panic about the result, create more to compensate, feel guilty for resting, force yourself to work instead, repeat until you can't anymore. One is a sustainable cycle. One is a countdown. Your body doesn't care about your subscriber count. It operates on a different system, a nervous system, and it has a budget. You can spend energy on creation, decision making, stress management, physical repair, emotional regulation, but you can't spend more than you have indefinitely. Your analytics don't show this budget. They show output, and output can stay high right up until the moment you run out of capacity to produce it. This is the shift. Metrics measure what you're creating. Your body measures whether you can keep creating. They're different scoreboards, and most creators only watch one of them until the other one forces them to stop. The 5 signals I'm about to show you, they're your body's way of updating the score you're not checking. Physical symptoms aren't weakness or proof you're not cut out for this. They're data about whether your current pace is sustainable. Think about it this way. If your car's engine light comes on, you don't say, I just need to drive harder to prove this car works. And you know that light is predictive, not decorative. The 5 signals work the same way. They show up before you brake, not after, which means if you catch them, you can course correct. If you ignore them thinking they're just part of paying your dues, you find out how much damage was happening underneath. All right, the 5 physical signals, not symptoms of burnout, warnings that you're about to burn out, early detection system, your body trying to protect your ability to create by protecting you. Signal 1, sleep architecture collapse. This isn't insomnia. You fall asleep fast because you're exhausted, but you wake up between 2 and 4 a.m. with your mind racing. Video ideas. Titles you should test. Why that last video didn't perform. Comments you read that made you feel like a failure. Your body is tired, but your nervous system won't shut off. This is the first sign that work stress has crossed into your sleep. When that boundary breaks, your nervous system stays in on mode 24/7. The trap here is telling yourself, I'll sleep better after I figure this out. You won't, because there's no figuring it out moment when you're in survival mode. There's always another video to test, another strategy to try, another way you're falling short. What fixes this? If you wake up with racing thoughts 3 or more nights in a 7-day span, cut your output by 30% immediately, not after you hit your goal starting tomorrow. Your sleep architecture is collapsing. That's not a suggestion to slow down. It's your body forcing the issue before you have a choice. Signal 2, decision fatigue on autopilot. You're making creator decisions, which thumbnail, which title, how to cut this section, and immediately second guessing them. Or worse, you make the decision and can't remember why. You're editing the same 10-second clip for the 5th time, and each version looks identical, but you can't tell which one's better. This is your brain telling you it's out of cognitive resources. Creative decisions require clarity. You know, when you're running on empty, you're creating on fumes. It looks like productivity. It's actually output without judgment. The trap. I just need to push through this edit. But pushing through doesn't restore decision-making ability. It compounds the deficit. What to do? If you're re-editing the same section 3 or more times without clear improvement, stop for the day. You're not making it better. You're burning cognitive budget trying to feel productive. Signal 3, physical pain that migrates. This one's sneaky. Week 1, your neck hurts. You stretch, it gets better. Week 2, your back hurts. You blame your chair. Week 3, you're clenching your jaw so hard you wake up with headaches. Week 4, different pain, different location. This isn't bad posture. This is your body distributing stress load, trying to protect you by moving the damage around. Here's what I missed. Pain that moves is systemic. It's not about the chair or the desk height or the mouse position. Those matter, but they're not the root cause. The root cause is your nervous system is overwhelmed and it's manifesting as physical pain because that's the language your body speaks when you ignore the subtle signals. One particularly bad month, I cracked a tooth from jaw clenching. Didn't connect it to the upload schedule. Blamed it on grinding at night. It wasn't grinding, it was my body screaming. If pain moves locations weekly, that's not a posture problem. That's a pace problem. Signal 4, emotional flatness around creation. You finish a video, you upload it, you feel nothing. Not excited to see how it does. Not proud of the work, just relieved it's done so you can start the next one. Or worse, you finish it and immediately feel behind because you're not working on tomorrow's video yet. The act of creating doesn't bring satisfaction anymore. It brings obligation. This is dopamine depletion. When your nervous system is tapped, the reward system stops working. Completion doesn't feel good anymore. It feels like you're temporarily not failing. The trap. You tell yourself you're just being realistic or staying humble. But realistic feels neutral. This feels empty. If finishing 3 videos in a row produces 0 positive emotion, no satisfaction, no creative pride, just exhaustion and the pressure to do it again, your nervous system is tapped. You're not creating from inspiration. You're creating from fear, and fear has no finish line. Signal 5, just one more, becomes automatic. Every work session ends the same way. You finish editing a video, and before you even close the project, you're thinking, just one more thumbnail tweak. You finish the thumbnail, just one more title test. You schedule the upload, just one more short to batch. There's no natural stopping point. You've lost the ability to feel enough. This isn't being productive. This is loss of completion signal. When you're running on fumes, your brain can't tell when a task is actually done, so it keeps searching for the feeling of enough that never comes. You keep working not because there's more to do, but because stopping feels like giving up, like admitting you're not working hard enough. If you haven't ended a work session feeling satisfied, not exhausted, satisfied, in 2 or more weeks, the system is broken, not your effort, the system. Because sustainable creation has a rhythm: work, complete, feel satisfied, rest, repeat. What you're doing, work, complete, feel like you should do more, force rest while thinking about work, repeat until you can't. These 5 signals don't show up all at once. They cascade. Sleep goes first, then decision making, then physical pain, then emotional flatness, then the inability to stop. By the time you hit 5, you're not weeks away from burnout, you're days. Let me show you what this looked like for me. I was in the middle of what I thought was just a rough patch. Videos weren't performing how I wanted. Growth felt stuck. So I decided to push harder. If I just created more, better, faster, something would finally click. I sat down one day to upload a video, needed to write the description. I stared at the screen for 40 minutes, couldn't form a sentence. Not writer's block. I had the words in my head. They just wouldn't come out. My brain had stopped translating thought into output. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just fatigue. Something had broken. I took 9 days completely off. No filming, no editing, no checking studio. First 3 days were the worst. Guilt, anxiety, constant thoughts about falling further behind. My hands wanted to reach for my phone every 20 minutes. I felt like I was proving all my fears right, that I couldn't hack it, that I wasn't committed enough. Days 4 through 6, something shifted. Sleep normalized. I stopped waking up at 3 a.m., spiraling about why my videos weren't working. My jaw unclenched, the migrating pain gone. My body was repairing because I finally stopped damaging it faster than it could heal. Days 7 through 9, the ideas came back. Not forced, natural. I'd see something and think that would make a good video without immediately stressing about whether it would perform. The creativity returned when the pressure lifted. Day 10, I filmed a video, and it felt like the first time I'd actually enjoyed creating in months, not performing productivity, not forcing output to prove I was serious, just making something because I wanted to. The video wasn't my best work technically, but the process felt completely different. I was creating from energy, not desperation. The next month, I created less, way less, but I was actually present for it. And here's what I learned. The months I pushed hardest never produced better results. Now, they just produced more output while destroying my ability to think clearly about what actually worked. I was optimizing for volume while my judgment was completely impaired. Looking back at every time I told myself, I just need to work harder, every single one preceded a crash. Not because hard work is bad, but because I was using work harder as the answer to every problem, including the problem of working too hard. The signals were always there. I just called them weakness. Proof I wasn't dedicated enough. The cost of trying to make it. They weren't weakness. They were warnings I was breaking in slow motion. So remember at the start, the most dangerous month isn't when everything's working. It's when you convince yourself that pushing harder will make it work. Your metrics can be struggling and your mental health can be struggling at the same time. Because pushing harder doesn't fix slow growth. It just guarantees you'll burn out before you figure out what actually needs to change. These 5 signals aren't weakness. They're your body trying to protect your ability to keep creating by protecting you. Sleep architecture collapse, decision fatigue, migrating pain, emotional flatness, loss of stopping point. These aren't character flaws or proof you're not cut out for this. They're predictive data. Your nervous system updating the score your analytics don't track. Here's what I wish someone had told me when I was in the worst of it. Pushing through doesn't work. The creators who made it didn't succeed because they ignored their bodies longer. They succeeded because they found sustainable pace before their bodies forced them to stop, or they got lucky with timing and went viral before the burnout caught up. Neither of those is a strategy you can control. If rest always comes after you figure this out, it never comes. The problems never fully solve. There's always another thing to optimize, another reason your channel isn't where you want it to be, another justification to delay taking care of yourself. Meanwhile, your nervous system is running a deficit that doesn't care about your subscriber goals. The distinction you need to hold: productive work has rhythm. Destructive work has desperation. Productive means you work hard, learn, adjust, rest, repeat. Destructive means you work hard, panic, work harder to compensate, feel guilty for resting, repeat until you can't. One gives you a chance to figure things out. One guarantees you'll break before you do. So here's what I want you to do. Not fix everything. Not overhaul your whole strategy. Just this. Track which of these 5 you're experiencing this week. Not to solve them yet, just to see them. Because the first step to stopping before you break is knowing what about to break actually feels like. Write them down. Sleep issues, decision fog, moving pain, flat emotions, can't stop working. If you have 3 or more right now, your body isn't asking permission, it's giving you data. The question isn't whether you should slow down. Your nervous system already answered that. The question is whether you'll listen before the crash or after. And here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Your channel will survive you taking a week off. Your growth won't disappear if you rest. But your nervous system won't wait for you to figure this out. It's already sending the signals. The only question is whether you're reading them. Your worst month for views doesn't have to also be your worst month for you. But if you're in one of those months right now and you have the signals, you get to decide course correct now or find out later what happens when you don't. 5 signs you're pushing too hard. But here's what most creators miss. These signs aren't personal failures for your health, they're predicted outcomes of a system designed to burn you out. Why creator burnout is system design, not your weakness. If the next video is already on your screen, follow it.